So, in going about trying to make a series like this, I've spent a lot of time wondering, well, where the hell do you start? Because when you're talking about something as nebulous as trying to improve at a game like Counter-Strike, there are so many angles you can really come at the problem from. How much time do I spend catering this to players who have zero, some, or a lot of experience in the game? How much do I focus purely on my own progression versus trying to give general tips to you guys? A lot of this stuff is pretty hard to balance. So maybe it makes the most sense to start at the beginning, which is why the first episode in this series, which you should go watch if you haven't, was focused around an assessment of my current strengths and weaknesses, and then laying out kind of a rough idea of what I want to focus on early on in this journey. Now we're at the first step, we're getting ready to start playing some games, and we need to ask the eternal question that everyone wonders when they're about to hop on and play with their friends. Should I, or should I not, warm up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is LionHeartZ. Thank you guys for joining me. And before we get started, make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, so thank you for doing it. While you're down there, consider following me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZCS2. I stream Sunday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be there live playing Counter-Strike. Come on by, say hello. Without any further ado, let's start talking about getting ready to play the game. Overall, I'd say it's very unlikely you're ever going to run into somebody, both in life and when talking about Counter-Strike, who will deny how helpful warm-up can be. Whether it's stretching before a workout, getting a few jump shots in before you start playing a pickup game, or indeed taking some time to play deathmatch or shoot bots, or however you choose to get ready to play Counter-Strike, it's all helpful in the sense that just getting your body accustomed to what you're about to do, getting the blood flow going, letting those muscles flex a little bit, helps you be more ready to perform to the best of your ability. But for whatever reason, I think we all know somebody who just doesn't seem to need or want to do much warming up before they play. My brother Justin is one such person, and in contrast, whenever I go to play Counter-Strike, be it on stream or by myself, I find myself playing much worse when I choose not to warm up. But for him, he just kind of hops on and always manages to play to relatively his same level. So I thought it'd be cool to take a second and reach out to him to get his perspective on this. Alright, so I'm here talking with my brother Justin. Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing great, how are you?
I'm doing good, and I just want to clarify for that one guy who commented on the previous video, Furley is not my brother. He is my friend, love him to death, but he's not my brother. Justin, you are in fact, unfortunately, related to me.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Honestly, I apologize as well. It goes both ways. Alright, so Justin, for one, you've been playing Counter-Strike, I would say more seriously than I have. Like, we both started playing at the same time, but I would say you played more seriously to a higher level than I did before we both started splitting off and playing different games. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I played ESCA and Face It before you. I played for some minor teams, played in the ESCA Open, and played sub for a few main teams. Nothing ever big, though.
Right, but you still have that advantage over me that Furley also has, where you played somewhat structured Counter-Strike before just kind of settling down to play the game casually.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so when it comes to talking about warm-up, what I find interesting is that you pretty much never do it. I mean, you play other games before we come together to play Counter-Strike every night, twitch.tv/LionHeartZCS2. But you don't take the time to do any warm-up before we play usually, and for the most part, it doesn't seem to affect how you play. And I know that there are definitely some people who are like that. Do you think there's anything to how you choose to play or approach the game that kind of allows you to feel like you're just kind of ready to go?
I definitely don't think there's an advantage to not warming up. I think warming up has a lot of great features that help with generating good habits and getting yourself into the right mindset of what angles you should be peeking, how you should be taking those angles, and controlling your spray. I just have found over the years that with my time being limited as an adult, I have to take advantage of anything I can. So I've slowly crafted a playstyle that, you know, not everyone likes. You like to rag on my playstyle, but it's something that I have honed in as a way to consistently play at a level that keeps me up to date with you guys while not needing as much prep. Though I definitely see how I could take advantage more of warming up, and that would definitely help me in the long term if I did.
I think the other thing that I was thinking about when I was getting ready to talk to you was, We've all played sports our entire lives, but you were a much better athlete than I was always, and you also played to a much higher level than I ever did. You're a natural athlete in pretty much everything you do, and you were an excellent baseball and basketball player. Do you think there's anything to, like, some kind of link between the fact that you've always been a very high level natural athlete and then also like not always needing to warm up as much to be like as good at the things you do?
No, I definitely don't think that. I think that warming up in practice, training, all of that is huge. Just because what you'll find in athletics, using real world example, is that there is a large number of people on the left side of the graph that are unathletic, not trained, don't play well.
Mhm.
Then there is a very large, the majority of people that are in some way either athletic or have practice and don't do the things necessary to continue going forward, and they fill up the majority of the middle of the graph.
Mhm.
And then you have the people on the far right that are also gifted athletically and do the prep work, and they're able to push themselves over the limits.
Mhm.
And what you'll find is that the people on the far left and the far right take much more heat into training and practicing, and the people in the middle don't. And that's why there's so much stagnation in the middle, because they're okay with that complacency of just, I'm good enough, right? It's good enough to get me through the day.
Mhm.
But, you talk about pro players, they're warming up in, esports, they're warming up hours in advance. In real life sports, basketball teams get their hours ahead of time to take shots, to do their prep. Football teams are there hours in advance. There is lots of prep that goes into, being at a high level that you can't just rely on instincts or athleticism alone on.
Mm-hmm. So there is actually a bit more to that conversation that I'm going to save for a different video in this series, but I want to focus for a minute on that analogy that Justin made about that graph of player skill, because I think he actually makes an unintentionally really genius point. I think I'm firmly in that middle group, where I do believe I have some natural skill at the game. I would consider myself to be an above average player, but I've never really grinded or applied myself in the way that I think I could have to try and break through that barrier, which is why I currently feel stuck. I'm at that wall where I think the only way to push over and continue to get better is through the application of training, warming up, no longer being lazy about the fine details, because it's true, the people who are newer to the game are going to be grinding a lot to learn and apply themselves and get comfortable with the game's mechanics, and the players on the far right who are extremely gifted and want to push themselves already naturally also grind a lot to keep breaking through barriers. But if you're someone who has been good enough to go by, who just kind of plays casually and is complacent, then you might not put in the extra effort to get to where you think you could be. And that's something I've been very guilty of in the past, and in a lot of things, not just in Counter-Strike, but also in life, which it all kind of comes back to the entire onus behind starting a series like this. It's not just about the fact that it's content and I think it'll do well and people will like watching the videos. It's because I want to see where I can get when I try to continue to push and do all the extra little effort. And that means always warming up, taking the time to practice on my off days, continue to study and be educated about the game. Small tangent, I understand. Let's talk about what I'm doing to warm up now. And if you guys have been following this series so far, you know we're going to be talking about our good friends over at Refrag. Now, obviously, there is nothing wrong with just booting up aimbots, getting a feel for your shot, doing a deathmatch or two, and then getting on with your ranked climb. That's a perfectly serviceable way to get prepped for playing Counter-Strike. However, what I think Refrag offers, and what I think is very good for someone like me, is being able to specifically train areas of your game. That ability to focus your warm-up instead of just kind of being at the whim of whatever pace of deathmatch you find yourself in, I find to be personally beneficial. So I've gone into Refrag and I have built a warm-up routine that I've been using before my play sessions recently. I'm going to share it with you guys now. So if you go onto the Refrag website, go to the routines tab and then click on the little search bar on the bottom right and type in Lion, you'll find my LionHeartZ warm-up routine. Now this is not the final version of this. I want to tweak and add some pistol warm-up aspects to this, but I couldn't get that done in time. So we're just going to focus on the baseline warm-up aspects that I have in there right now. So there are 4 modules in here. The first one is just a standard aimbot segment. It's kill 30 bots, just click 30 heads, get warmed up, get a feel for how your hands are feeling, and just to see some bodies drop to get started. Once you're done with that, you move into 2 segments of their Blitz game mode, one with the AK and one with the M4A1. And the goal here is just to get some simulation of people running at you, being peeked at from multiple angles, and having to be clean and clinical moving kill to kill, or else the bots will put you in the ground. Here, I like this better than deathmatch because it feels closer to real game scenarios. You're being swung on from common angles, you're getting swung on by multiple people, so you have to be able to flick from one shot to another, and it's something you can do at your own pace, unlike DM. And the goal here is for this to be pretty quick, so you only have to do 5 arenas in both with the AK and the M4, and then you move on to the last module for now, which is to do some practice in the pre-fire game mode. What I like about the pre-fire game mode is it just gets me more into the mindset of being careful for when I get into game, because as a personal player, one of my bad tendencies is not clearing corners as meticulously as I need to. So this just gets you into the habit of clearing all the common spots. Right now it's just Mirage, but it's really just there for a mindset thing more than getting used to Mirage positions. Assuming that you play at a moderate pace and don't get too stuck on any of the areas, I feel like you can get through this warm-up in about 15 to 20 minutes, which feels like a reasonable time before you start your play sessions for the day. And again, this feels more thorough, more practical, and more beneficial than just doing the more standard warm-up methods, in my opinion. Now, for the last segment of this video, I want you guys to keep in mind, especially if you're a newer player, that warm-up is not a zero-sum game. Just because you take the time to warm up, you could warm up for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to turn up in the server and drop 30. Counter-Strike is not that simple, it's a team game. There are much more factors that go into winning than just your individual performance in and out of the server. The whole point here is to build healthy, productive habits that can help you be in the position to play at your best ability. In point of fact, when I did the warm-up and recording for this video, I went and played the match that's been in the background this whole time, and as you could tell, we lost, and I still made mistakes. Even though I was warmed up and ready, it doesn't mean I was able to necessarily translate that into a win right away. Unfortunately, there are no shortcuts. Well, I mean, there are, but hacking is bad. But there are no shortcuts to getting better at anything in life. And right now, by establishing stuff like steady warm-up habits, we are building the sturdy base to hopefully the large building that will be us getting global at the very end of this journey. And now that we've gotten there, in the next episode, we can actually start doing some proper VOD review and start looking at some mistakes that I've been making and how we can actively start working on them. Alright, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. In the description will be a link to my warm-up routine if you decide to use Refrag. Also, in the description will be a bunch of referral codes that will give you trial access to Refrag if you've never tried it before. Those codes are first come, first serve, and if you manage to get one and get access, I hope you enjoy. Thank you to Refrag for not only your help on this series throughout, but also for providing those codes. Make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you didn't already. While you're down there, make sure you follow me on Twitch as well. These videos are powered by Advanced.gg. If you are watching this on the weekend that it is out, Advanced.gg has powered up my code LIONS10 to 40% off for the remainder of the weekend on anything on the site. So if you're going to make a purchase of any of their excellent products, from energy to hydration to sleep needs, you can use my code and get that major discount. Thank you to Advanced.gg. Lastly, shout out to my channel members Justin, Jesse, Furley, Bubblesj, and Dr. Cocktor for keeping the lights on. You can check the link in the description if you want to become a channel member. It's $5 a month. You support me directly. Make sure you do it. Member Discord is in progress. I don't have any news to share on that right now, but it is something I'm working on, so keep an eye out for that. Other than that, my name is LionHeartZ. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.